Hello, this is Alpha for signing in once again for another Indigenous e-blog. And this time I have a very interesting message. And just for warning, this is gonna be very, very mature. A mature talk. It's gonna be mature language. So if you got children, please don't play this around them. Alright, you have to do with adults. And the subject that I'm going to discuss today is objectified by choice. That's that, and that has to do with today's women and how they have been the subject of objectification. I truly concede to that. Today's women, particularly in the 21st century, have been grown more, more bold or flaunting. And I just want to give some respect. I just want to give some perspective. Now, personally, I'm the kind of a guy who I don't like to chastise or call out members of the opposite sex. Firstly, I think I don't have the qualifications or the authority to do such a thing. And sometimes when others do it, I get I get comfortable, because sometimes I think that the criticism is one-sided. Particularly among religious circles, where we encourage modesty and present a decent attire. I sometimes think that we focus on the women solely, and give a lot of criticism to them openly, and I sympathize with my sisters, who are receive the blunt, although it's for a good reason, for their edification. But I wouldn't wanted to be at the end of the reprimand. But no, there is room for very strong words, particularly in today's generation, because the modern feminist movement has far from liberated women and elevated their decency and equality and respect, which women deserve, are regressing to debasing and degenerate way of style. I just think of a good example is of a commercial, and in which it was a Del Mar commercial, in which they were showing the different styles, the different fashions that the women presented to, and how they have got evolved until coming to this point. And I noticed that with each evolution, a piece, a cloth, or a covering was slowly being removed, and there was the dress was becoming more and more revealing. I just had to look at that in a few seconds. That's revealed to be what happened, and I want to put in perspective. I just want to ask my sisters if that's the road you want to take, and I want to I want to go back to a historical perspective. Recently I've begun doing research on on the Middle Ages, and particularly on King Henry Tudor, and his whole ordeal. How he wanted to divorce, but couldn't. The Pope wouldn't lead his divorce, so he he broke away from the church and formed the Anglican Church of England, and so he can have a new marriage, because divorce was forbidden in the Catholic Church. But I was particularly noticeable of the role of women, particularly in that time, the time of the monarchs. I'm pretty sure before, and to this, I know feminists would concur that women were very subjugate, were very treated very poorly, because of the fact that women didn't have formal education. They weren't trained in the arts just like the men did. In order for you to be a prominent woman, you have to be of royalty, of nobility, or other than that, you were basically a servant girl, and the only thing the women were good at is having children and basically taken advantage of, and the men took exercised their advantage over the men quite often, and particularly amongst royalty. Man, there was so many mistresses and concubines, and I can't imagine of what it would feel like to be a woman at that time. And also the subject of marriages. There were girls, particularly among royalty, because it was a custom when there was a treaty that you would give your daughter in marriage to the ones who you're making treaty with, and the princesses would, in order to make a treaty, one of the customs were to give the prince, the daughter of the king, to bride to be to the prince or the king of the allied nation. And some of these girls were as small as 5, and they waited till the age of 12, 13, and to get married, and that's as early as they would get married, man. And I was stunned, man. The girls had no choice. They had no right of who the husbands was gonna be. And that really bothered me. And now I think about how society has changed, how we have accepted the role that the woman is treated equally with the man, that the woman has no lesser brains than the man. In fact, I would say, as far as mental capability, the woman is superior to the man. Just look at the statistics. This year, 2011, the woman has surpassed the man in graduate college and university graduation rates. So far from being with the inferior, they're proving to be worthy. In their own right, they've been pretty highly intelligent, and which that's why when I heard a particular story that comes from England, it really bothered me, because I see how women have come from being treated like objects to being respected, and I saw a story I can't remember, but in Canada there was a rape case, and there was a whole bunch of a gang of fellas ganged up on the girl, and of course she was dressed rather provocative. She was very exposing her body parts. So when the chief, the sheriff of the town, gave a press conference, and pretty much said that, though he pretty much says that in short words, he said that if the girl wasn't dressed in such a fashion, then probably the rape incidents wouldn't have happened, or it would have hindered the men, or in some way. So what happened is that some feminists were outraged at the words of the sheriff, and in protest, these feminists began to flaunting themselves and carrying signs that says, we have a right to be sluts. No, we have the right to dress as we want. No, it's no. We are the victim. We're not the we're not the cause, no. And and just makes me thinking. Is this what feminism has become? To rather than appeal to the decency of humanity, the feminists of today, particularly the ones who preach liberation from man, don't see or put dress in such a attention grabbing way, and then they put the blame on the men, so being objectified and treated in such in victimized. Well, I don't condone the actions of the men. They should be prosecuted, but to say that your behavior has nothing to do, with to say that it's just the man's fault, to say is totally absurd. No, it tells me that you don't understand. They don't understand men's mental processes. It has been psychologically proved that men respond to visual stimuli versus the women more audio, more with what they hear. So and also, why what's the urge of dressing so openly? Is that what makes you feel free? If it makes you feel, I just can't explain it. Oh well, I would just have to hear opinion of a woman to help me explain it, because as a man I can't understand it. Now, with this in mind, just I hope you can think about it, and hope to see you next time for another edition of the